Slush also heading out to his Christmas break after this tournament, and we do have Slush, that higher-seeded red player, covering up my face! All right, there he is in the top right corner as the red Terran. In the bottom left, we have VT's Blur as the blue Terran.
Yeah, so Xel'Naga Towers, or Caverns, excuse me. There are
Xel'Naga Towers. He's going to be going on a vacation to Xel'Naga Heights after this.
You know what? Hey, Xel'Naga properties are really, really up there right now.
Yeah,
so
I mean, they're antique. They were built literally millions of years ago when the Xel'Nagas existed, and they were actually classy people. They made their own species.
Now, you know, a cruise, go to Xel'Naga Plateau.
Oh, that's a good point. Xel'Naga Plateau, where all the cool kids hang. Including the French Canadians.
As I was saying, Xel'Naga Caverns here is probably get that map wrong now that you've just put all those ideas into my head. Was the map selection for Slush being the higher seed? So again, curious to see what he's going to have up his sleeve here. And, of course, pretty standard opening so far that we've seen out of these guys. But wall off from Blur, it's to be expected here. And
we see these two scout workers already passing by these Xel'Naga watchtowers. Blur's doing something a little bit interesting here, skirting by this outside edge. I would generally imagine that there's some sort of cheese going on at this point in time. But it looks like he might just be going around. Maybe they just blocked the hatch. There he does. He is blocking the hatchery.
With the mini-map.
All right, the infamous mini-map hatch block, almost as effective as an SCV or even an engineering bay mini-map.
It's got a lot of hit points, and it costs virtually nothing. Nice snarf there. And he will block the hatch momentarily. Now, when it happens, you know, typically, ooh, interesting. He went for extractor, canceled it, and then, wow, I kind of like that.
Huh.
I kind of like that.
Does his opponent know? No, actually no knowledge going on by QX Root Slush in the top right. Blur now just going for the usual fast gas build, getting a Marine. This would generally be an indication of a Roach defense early, or if he's just feeling very confident and just wants to do a slow Zergling defense. But on this map, you kind of need that mobility because look at all this space there is around that hatchery.
Yeah, very hard to defend, as Dave pointed out. A lot of surface area right there. And I do just want to say I liked how Slush responded to that. Of course, getting some harassment there at the hatch. So he went for a gas pool build that is pretty good to do. But then once he had control of that area, canceled the extractor, put down the hatchery, and then continued with what he was doing. So I really did like that. Meanwhile, factory going down for Blur as well. He's got 2 gases up and just starting to wall off with a bunker there at the front as well.
Yeah, curious to see what Blur's going to do. He got these 2 geysers so fast, I would expect some sort of Banshee play to happen. Generally don't get the gas that quickly unless you are in a Banshee kind of mood. Does look like Slush now has 100 gas that he can use to make a decision with, but it looks like that decision is going to be a metabolic boost instead of a layer. Like that choice on this map, no need to rush for the layer, but there is a need to rush for the speed because, again, a lot of space to cover on that natural.
Yeah, Zerglings become oh so important. Additionally, you can kind of harass through that back door if it's not blocked off. We do have an SCV just outside the grass here, and look at this. What is going down? 2 starports here in the back of Blur's base. Going to drop down this factory with the tech lab over here closer to the starports and likely switch one of them.
Now, Slush is poking into the edge, and if he sees the starport, he's going to know what's up, but he is already going to be seeing the factory, and yeah, he's going to see that starport unless he decides to turn around. There it is going down. Will he be able to get all the way into the second starport? That's the big question. Looks like Blur is pulling all his Marines out. Oh, no. Oh, my gosh. Is Slush really going to get to see that second starport? Oh, no, he doesn't see it. That stinks. And
yeah.
It looks like we are going to see the double starport action happening real soon.
Now, if you see a starport in the back right there, you're like, oh, he's trying to hide it. I mean, do you think that maybe he didn't see that lip, that there is a possibility? Is Slush saying, oh, man, there could still be something back there? Or, you know, are you even thinking about that?
Generally, you're not thinking that there's going to be a second one back there. I mean, that is a very tucked away Banshee. But Blur did opt to get the Cloak instead of that second Banshee fast. And it looks like Blur's still not getting the second Banshee. There it is going down. The problem with getting Cloak this early is you don't quite have the gas to be able to churn out the Banshees and much else. So that does kind of mean that there's going to be a good amount of passivity coming up from Blur. Unless he wants to slam down like 4 barracks and go a ton of Mariners. He's going to have a little bit of trouble. There's a second Banshee coming out. Let's try to see how Slush ends up responding. He's getting a Baneling nest, tons of drones. Feeling very comfortable. And Queens, too.
Yeah, he also morphed an Overseer at his ramp, and that's very good preemptive thinking there, getting ready for those Cloaked Banshees to come out. With that there, it obviously becomes much more difficult to harass. He's also put a few more Queens out on the field, so he'll have 2 at each hatch. The Lair is done as well. The Spire is going down. So I feel like Slush is reacting very well to that starport open.
There's the starport going down right now for Slush. Great response in general to get that Spire, but as you were saying, especially against the Banshee play. There is the command center going down now. Tech Lab coming up for Blur. No use made yet out of those factories. There's a Banshee marching right in through the front gates, but ooh, a Cloak Overseer pops out literally at the exact moment. Slush playing amazingly well. It's almost like we've seen a different Zerg emerge from that match against QXC, and more Queens coming in. A holy runaway, dude. And the Transfuse. So awesome to have those beefy Queens defending everything. Oh, I love the Queen.
Yeah, it's really cool to see this. You know, it's so easy to think, oh, well, I'll just get a bunch of Hydralisks, and, you know, you think about what you're investing to do all that, when all you have to do is spend an additional 150 minerals on the Queens, and then the 100 to morph that Overseer. And we do have some Zerglings popping up here and do some damage against a few of the units, but just kind of seeing what he can see. 4 Banshees out here and a few Marines. It looks like he might opt to push a 5th Banshee out as well.
Wow, this would be a very bold push at this phase in the game. There are Banelings that are possible to be out on the fields right now. Huge creep spread by Slush, which makes those Banelings even more intimidating because they can move so fast and close in on all of those Marines. As usual, Slush is doing a common technique, which is have Overseers back defensively at the main, but you just spam the C button and get Changelings to walk across map, do spotting in useful locations. Look at the map coverage by Slush. He will see absolutely everything encroaching in against him.
Ooh, and some Mutas coming out. Of course, the Cloak can save these Banshees, and he'll have to watch out for those Marines, but it will make a little bit more difficult for him to utilize those Banshees in battle. Of course, he's only got 3 Mutas right now, with 4 more on the way. Also getting that Baneling speed upgrade, Centrifugal Hooks, which will be absolutely essential. Like you said, Day, on top of the creep, that's really phenomenal as well. So if we do remember, Slush actually was able to spread his creep all the way to the gold before his opponent expanded on it. And there we go, the Muta harass on the Banshees, forcing all of them to cloak and get out of there. So if anything, wasting some energy, making them a little less effective.
Blur just now getting those turrets up. I think that's actually very strong timing by him. He has a big Marine force coming up. With the double ups, the stim, the combat shield going down. We see those Mutalisks trying to swing around from the right side, but there are Marines and an almost finished turret there ready to greet. Looks like those Mutalisks are going to try to continue to find some little hole in the defense, and that might be it right there. Darting in, doing a couple of shots, 2 free Marines. Can it get any more? It's going to take a look in the main and park itself right over these barracks to do some huge damage to these reactors.
Meanwhile, the Mutas are just a distraction. Here come a bunch of Lings and some Banelings right now, and his army is pretty spread out, so this could be fairly deadly if he can manage to move those ground units in as well as take out those Banshees simultaneously. He's going to form up right outside the gold of his opponent. He might send those Mutas in. He sees a couple of Hellions moving away, and we're going to see QXC probably go in the back door with those Hellions, but he's going to move forward, and here comes the big attack. Bailey's going in.
And looks like the Banshees are trying to do as much damage as they can, but they get just absolutely demolished. Mutalisks, and there's the good game, the well played. I don't think this game is actually over yet, but looks like Blur decided so. I mean, you cloak those Banshees, you bring that extra 5, 6 Marines out. There are only 3 Mutalisks there, but I think Blur was just intimidated by how much creep spread and unit production his opponent had.
Quick game by Slush there, and responding very well. You know, I learned something from that Day 9 Daily 208 that I did with you, and that was don't panic, Wheat. And that was a great, you know, I see that and I'm like, that's exactly, you know, don't panic. There is an easy way to stop what you see. Good scouting, responded beautifully, getting those extra queens, more for the Overseer. I really thought that was solid. So Slush will take game 1 and is that much closer to $250.